a big thing in the beginning is, who am I? God allowed me to see that's me. Like, Grayson is me. And I've had people tell me that they love me just to leave me. And I'm not doing that to this person. I can't let things that happen to me happen to him. I can't let him see I'm just gonna ruin his life. The bad things that I chose to do and had fun doing them, the one thing I can do to kind of make up for that is to help somebody else in whatever.
Welcome back to the channel. Today we're concluding our interview with Josh Broadwater, so make sure you first check out parts 1 through 3. Last time, we ended with Josh having finally reached a point where he can take care of himself. In this fourth and last episode, he moves towards his ultimate goal of taking care of someone else. One of the things I've heard you say a lot, and you talked about it earlier, is that moment when all you need to do is call and have Grayson brought to you the front of the neighborhood. That moment, that Kairos moment in time where all is lost.
The crumbling of everything.
It's all lost. Exactly. Yeah. It's crumbled. It's
Absolutely.
gone. There's no fixing it. There's nothing.
Right.
Death is the only option from here.
Yes.
Right? Like, that's it. There's nothing that you can bounce back from. But then from that moment, where so many men in this world live, right? And they live there. They don't ever come out of that. They, just like you do, they start walking towards something, but they never
get to
They never get there, right? I need you, the world needs you to tell your story in the sense that walk is not to nowhere, right? That walk, it takes patience and courage, but that walk can get you to where that moment never happens again. So tell me a little bit about the moments when you had graduated, you got this good job, and your son kind of gets in this situation where his mother needs some help. And for the first time in a long time, you were positioned to be the one that takes care of him.
Phenomenal.
And I don't know, you could have sent money.
Yeah, I could have.
You could have rented something, but you made some pretty big decisions in that moment. Tell me a little bit about when you got that call and you knew that your son needed a new start himself, even though you had messed that up before and you hadn't been the dad you needed to be. You got a chance. Tell me a little bit about it.
First thing, from this point on in my story, it needs to have the context of this is all God. Now, because of the relationships with Jason, the job that I had, I was getting welcomed into Chestnut Mountain Church, just everything that was happening in my world that God was doing, all of the good, uplifting things. I have a rental house, everything's, sobriety is going on. Everything's nice and quiet, good.
God gave you opportunities. But you got to do the work, man.
Absolutely.
Right? God opens a lot of doors. He'd open doors for you in the past. But I need you to take credit the fact that you could have shied away a lot of times.
Oh, totally.
You could have buckled a lot of times.
I had a good job. I had everything.
Now, God gave you the people.
It was, I will tell you, before Grayson came up here, it was nice. Yeah. Because I was making decent money. I was doing whatever I wanted with plenty of money left over, and it was sweet sailing. But I would get him like every other weekend. I was away from him from when he was 1.5 till like 5. But when I was here, and again, this is groundwork being laid by Doug. I didn't have visitation when I was here, so didn't get to see him. But Doug told me at that time it would be no good for me to come back to him at that time because I wasn't good. So I needed to stay here and do what I needed, so that when I can have that opportunity, I would be the right man to accept that. And yes, it took a lot of working, a lot of weekends of having him for 2 days, trying to be a dad for 2 days, and then have him go right back to his mom for 2 weeks. And then here's another 2 days to try and be a dad. Those weekends just really started wearing on me because like me and Grayson's relationship before that was he was a little bitty baby. Well, now he's older and now we're actually talking and kind of having some conversations. So it was a different relationship. And it was kind of like that's when we really were getting to know each other, but it was only those 2 days. And it was killing me, man. And I remember one weekend that he was up here, and we were just sitting on the bed next together, and I was just looking at him, just knowing the environment that he's in and that I got to send him back to. And I just started crying. And Grayson looked at me and he said, you know, are you happy or are you sad? And I said, I'm sad, man. And he said, why? And I said, because, you know, I want you up here all the time, and I know you want to be up here all the time. But right now, I can't do that. And when I had to tell him that, again, that was just another emotional stamp on, okay, this is your next assignment. So
okay, but I got to tell you, you know that a lot of men in that moment would have backed away.
Totally.
They would have run away.
Yeah.
And like you talked about it. You ran a lot before that moment.
Yeah.
What changed in that moment that said, hey, this time I'm not running? This time like he's taken away from me.
Right.
Just like last time when you're in that neighborhood and you had to walk away and it was done, you quit. Why'd you not quit this time? What was different this time?
God allowed me to see that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Like Grayson is me. And I've had people tell me that they love me just to leave me. And I'm not doing that to this person. This one and I'll have to say, Grayson was the first person in my life, and I maybe only have 2 or 3 now, that he was the first person in my life that I loved more than myself. And just in that, you know, I can't let things that happen to me happen to him. I can't let him see I'm just going to ruin his life. Because, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with the mother, but it's not a good situation. So, you know, that was the fork in the road of, you know, I've chosen to have this child. I'm his father. Am I going to take care of him or am I not?
How'd you have the courage, knowing that in the past you'd messed that up so bad? You know, you hadn't seen him in 4 years while you were off doing, you know, kind of living what we talked about earlier. And how did you have the courage to go, hey, listen, I'm going to do it even though I've messed up.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he deserves a father that I haven't been able to give him.
Yeah.
To be fair, you said you didn't want to do that to him, what had done to you, but up until that point you had. Like you had kept the cycle going. What had happened to you, you had brought it to his life for the first 5 years of it, right? What would you tell a dad that's like, listen, I don't have the courage, man. I've screwed it up. The best thing I can do for that kid is just to walk away, man, and just leave. He's better off without me.
Yeah.
Like, how did you have the courage to go? Because up to that point, he's better off without you. Like, you had to really dig in and go, no, man, I'm gonna step up and do this.
Yeah.
What was that kind of gave you that courage to, even though you hadn't been there yet, you were gonna do it going forward?
Yeah, I mean, knowing the environment he's going back to, I kind of got the mindset of I can't let him keep going back there. So that
just breaking the cycle, man.
Mode of, okay, now I need to start thinking about what do I need to do to get him up here, and then just through again relationships and having the means to do it. But I mean, yes, I think it's one weekend that I sent him down there, and it was like for a weekend or something. Well, then I go to pick him up, and when I pick him up, he's like, doesn't have a shirt on, he's covered in like poison ivy, and some things ended up happening that time, and that's when I was like, all right, when I take him this time, like, look, by that time, the mother had gotten into just where she really cannot take care of him. I mean, it's to the point to where when I pick him up this time, I'm not bringing him back to you. And I told the mom, I have the means. I have a place. I have people that will help. I have the ability. Let me take him. And she was broken enough at that time to say, okay. At that time, I think she still had in her mind, she'll eventually, this is just for a little while, she'll get him back. But that was, I mean, that was a moment of, okay, this is not happening anymore. Now I'm taking him back here, and now he's going to live with me.
And the man you had become.
Yes, which was a million miles from who I was, not just because I wasn't on drugs anymore, or not just because of this. It was just, you know, this place, the learning, God, Jason, Doug, the work that I put in, which was, it was tough, man. I mean, every day. It's still every day. I mean, it may always be like that, but I still have to more now than before because now I got an extra person that I'm taking care of. So it's just a continual every day of I have to make the decision. I have to get up and do the best that I can for a lot of reasons now, not just one or two, or I'd like this or whatever. There's a lot riding on what I do now, which for me kind of gives fire and fuel to why I do it, because there is a, purpose that I can see. I can see now I did all that work and all that horrible time of being away from Grayson, not knowing what was going to happen, but knowing something has to happen. Something has to change. I don't like who I was. To do that work and to work hard at it, and then along the way see little things that happen good because of that, which I could grow on that. Now I have such a better foundation that I just add that stuff to. It's not a bunch of little good things happening here and there. Like there's this big God kingdom being made that all these things are adding on to, which, like you said earlier, a couple of years ago, you could have told me one thing and I would have been like, no. But to see you do the work, things happen. And once you see that and start building on that, then creating a true foundation, God-made foundation, when things don't go right. And it's not all butterflies and cupcakes, I mean, things happen. I've struggled with, kratom here and there, it's stuff like that.
But I mean, I think you said like so much of our philosophy in that statement. Like, first off, having means, right? Like you got to have a good job.
You got to.
If you get a good job, all of a sudden it opens some doors for you, right? Second, if you put some good people, if men will step up, right, and they will walk alongside, they will show you Jesus in a way that's not words, it's actions, right? And those actions, just like that day in that van with Doug, or just like those times with Jason when things are getting really tough. If men will act Jesus to other broken men, you take those things together and you start teaching a guy. You put him in a situation, an environment like you have out here where you're getting taught and people are invested in you. All of a sudden, just like when somebody goes to drop your kid off, they're thinking, hey, man, I don't know what I'm dropping them off to. But very quickly they find out all those factors together create that foundation that you were talking about. And all of a sudden, it's not a weak foundation, man. It's really strong, and it can withhandle. And all of a sudden now you can be the dad you want to be. You can, and honestly, it's been so cool to watch you be a dad, right? But I'm going to use that as a little bit of a segue, right? Because what I've seen from you is you didn't stop there, right? You could have just been like, I'm done. I got what I needed. I got my kid back. I got a lot of people who are giving me stuff, right? And I'm just going to take it. And I'm going to stay in this little cocoon, and that's what I'm going to be. But you have it. So, like, it's funny now because we talked about Jason and his mentorship, and we talked about Doug and what he did. But reality is you're here every week doing the same thing. Like, you're those guys. You're that guy to those guys. So it really makes me want to ask you where you see your future, right? So right now, I mean, you know, it could have been a very happy ending, and we could have been like, congratulations, let's turn the video off. You got your kid back, which is amazing, but that is not where the story ends for you, man. So where, if we could be kind of bold and put some things out into the universe here where everybody can hear it, where do you see this journey taking you now? Where's it going from Josh Broadwater now?
I mean, honestly, I've had 2 promotions through Americold. So now I'm an MHE Tech 1, forklift technician.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. That you got one of those promotions because I tried to hire you, and they said they gave you a promotion.
That's it.
You don't have to tell everybody that. It makes you feel bad.
So, I mean...
But you turned me down.
So, but I love the job there. If I were to be honest, I don't see that being my end point. I honestly see me here in some fashion in the future, just because like I love Americold. I love what I do. I don't have anybody on my back saying, "Hey, what about this?" I can kind of pick my schedule as to what I do.
Yeah, they've been very helpful. I mean, very flexible.
Yeah, I make the most legal money I've ever made. But
that's a good way to say it. Best legal
seriously.
money.
But it's just something about here, man. I mean,
well, let's talk about that. Like, what are you getting? I mean, you have, so for the first couple of years I was here, I didn't see you much, right? For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
That's not a diss or anything.
Right.
You were getting together, but all of a sudden over the last year, you're showing up more.
Yeah,
which is one thing, but it's funny.
Yeah.
Because what you said about Jason and his relationship with you, I'm starting to hear chirps from other guys about you, right? Yeah. So it's kind of been really, really cool to watch over the maturation of the North Georgia Works kind of program that you came in and you didn't disappear. In fact, you got stronger and you got your kid. And now all of a sudden, like, you're feeding the next generation of guys. And we've had a group of graduates have come through that have been heavily invested by you, right? Like, so tell me a little bit about what that was like for you, how that kind of happened, if you feel that's kind of a calling or if it's just something you kind of walked into. I'm really curious to hear your thoughts because I haven't really had a chance to hear. I just know Josh has been here with Jason and doing all this stuff. So I've really been curious to figure out where you're kind of seeing this go.
Yeah. Again, just through the relationship with me and Jason, we started kind of talking back and forth, hey, it'd be really cool if, we started like a Bible study. I don't know. We didn't say a day or time or whatever. Just that was the little idea. And then once Hope Time began being a thing, I just came here one Sunday, just, coming to see what it was about. And, Jason had said, there's going to be mentors again. There was some guys coming up that were here long enough to have mentors, and I was on board, from day one just because of the mentor-mentee relationship of Jason and me. I knew how much that helped me. So I was just here to, get a little bit from the Bible study myself, but as well, and, if there was somebody in here that I would kind of pay attention, and like in small groups, if one guy would kind of say something that to me was like, oh, that's a question that guy kind of thought about that question. Kind of give me a thing, at least the dude's a little bit invested in what's going on here. And then just go, hey, I read that comment that you said, whatever, that's really cool. This is what I think, just a relationship like that. And then it just, morphed into, okay, well, I'm kind of gravitating towards this guy. I kind of want to, let's make this happen. I kind of want to be this guy's mentor. And then, it creates that relationship. And I'll tell you, and every mentor that comes through here will tell you, that relationship is a two-way street. Because whatever they get from me, I get that and more from these guys. Because again, I've been there. I know what that dude's going through. I know, the specifics of our lives and situation is different, but the underlying cause of all of those problems is the same. Mm-hmm. And that's what, creates that ability to just be here and to help people. And that's, in my mind, that's the one thing that I can do to kind of make the past better, the bad things that I chose to do and had fun doing them. The one thing I can do to kind of make up for that is to help somebody else in whatever is kind of, what's in my mind for doing that. And it's just, I love this place, from what God has done here and is continuing to do, from what I see the guys that graduate, that, I've had it rough in a lot of things, but there's more than one guy come through here that they've had it worse than me.
Yeah. So let me wrap up on this. I want to give you full credit. You're the first guy we're doing this with because you were the first guy through the door. And, when you start an organization as ambitious as North Georgia Works is, especially kind of copying after an organization like Georgia Works in Atlanta, which we were modeled a little bit after, and has a guy who worked at Georgia Works as an executive. I know just how big in scope this model is and the way we approach things. You come to a place like Hall County, there's just a lot of skepticism, right? And there was a lot of resistance, honestly, to what Doug was trying to do. And for any business or any organization, to get where you want to get, at some point you got to have proof of concept, right? You got to shut up talking,
right?
And you got to put you really do. What we were shooting for, what we still shoot for, is not just get guys through 12 months and pat them on the back and get them on the way, right? I mean, we're in this for the long haul, so we better work, because if guys start falling off, man, we're gonna be right there with them, right?
Yeah. And
so it was really cool to see the first guy that walked in the door, that God clearly just said, hey, listen, this is the guy, because I'm going to do what, like Jason says, I'm going to use his mess to turn him into his message, right? And so for me, I'm very thankful for Josh Broadwater for being faithful to the work and being faithful to the process, because you were that proof of concept that came through right off the bat, that gave us that credibility to say, listen, what we're doing in that building isn't just talk, man. There's a lot of people putting their money where their mouth is, and if you do that, God can do some things, but God can only plow the harvest if people do the work and plant the seeds, right? And so for me, it's just been really cool as a guy who wasn't a part of your story, just to be able to say, hey, listen, man, I'm so thankful that guy was here.
Yeah.
I'm thankful he keeps battling every day. I'm thankful for guys like Jason and Doug, and because it has allowed us to do the other 53 guys in the last couple of years that have come through. Your story was so powerful from the beginning. So that was just really cool for me. But I want to hear how we wrap up, man. Like, two things, man. I want to know, in a year from now, when I put you back in front of this chair, I want to hear a little bit about what you some goals you might want to have, and see where this goes. But also, I want you to sell the guy that's sitting out there right now who's at the end of that neighborhood saying bye to his kid like you were, man. I want you to tell him if you could tell that guy something, what would you say, man?
Yeah.
So first off, where you want to be in a year, man? Give me a quick goal for what you want to hear 1 year from now when I do a follow-up, that everybody's going to be like, hey, did that happen?
Right. A little bit better on the financial side. I'm not hurting and bills get paid, but just a little bit better on the financial side. And really with Grayson, he's in 3rd grade now, so it's getting more of a, I really need to pour into that relationship and really spend time with him, because now he is very vocal, and a lot of things are happening for him.
Very formidable years, yeah.
So I'm kind of, in a year I need to be more in a mode of that, rather than me still kind of dealing with my little hiccups and my little mental things, which that's kind of what God is doing now, is getting the last few little things that I had in my pocket, so I can be able to, okay, now I need to focus on this. So just more kind of shifting my time and efforts, as not so much over here, but more towards Grayson, because he's really starting to need it now.
So taking that next step in fatherhood, right? All right, so listen, there's a bunch of guys that are going to be watching this that don't think that what you happen to you is possible for them.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to father again. They're not going to be able to get out of that toxic relationship. They're not going to be able to come to a program and deal with it. They're not going to get out of jail. Very quickly, from what you've experienced, what would you say to a man? What would, next steps? What's he need to do? How can he start taking some of the steps that you did to get where you are?
If somebody's in a bad situation, or the end of an addiction, when it, in my place where it's gotten to where it's just bad all the time, number one, you need to get right with God. Whatever your understanding and relationship is, you need to talk to him. And if it's just saying, I'm sorry, I don't even know what to do, but after that, then you need to go seek either North Georgia Works, some type of rehab, some type of place that you can get away from wherever you are. If it has to be a different state or whatever, first of all, get away from where you are. Get to somewhere that can help. Not just to somebody that I can go talk to that'll say, oh yeah, that sucks, I might know, go talk to this guy. Somewhere you can go and sit down and stop what you were doing and learn hey, there is something else. Because a lot of times, even in my past, I'd said, dude, this will never change, because I didn't know anything that would change it. And I've had things before that I thought would have changed it, should have changed it. I had all the money in the world. I had duffel bags full of money. That didn't change or help anything. And just learning I don't need to do better to make things better. That's not it. You know, if it was about me doing better, it would have happened a long time ago. This is about understanding, first of all, what's happening. A big thing in the beginning is, who am I? I had to find myself after that whole big mess to even begin to start thinking, oh, okay, I could do this. And there is a possibility over here. And there are people that actually care about just another human being, just for the fact that they're another human being. And, you know, you have to get into an environment that is able to help, or else, yes, you will continue to, that's never going to happen, or I'm not good enough for that. And if you are in that mindset, then yes, nothing good will ever happen. You have to get to some point or place to where some little light bulb comes on and you say, it can, not it can't. And it's a cheesy saying, can't never could. But that's it. If you don't think it can happen, it's not going to happen. So you've got to get to a place to where at least the idea of something else happening begins. And then once that begins, you get to a place of that, then you can start to even think of what could happen, or an idea, or put a plan together. You know, one thing I learned here, good intentions with no plan equal no reward. You know, if I could have the best thoughts and plans, but the best idea, but if I have no way to carry that out, that just becomes something else that's screwed up.
It's a dream,
or didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And then that's just another defeat that I get to play off of. But if I can get to a place, a physical place and a personal place of, okay, now I need to start going up these steps, and start going up those steps and seeing, not just being told, but seeing, hey, there is something different. I mean, after a life of, no, it's never going to happen, under the thumb, fires putting out, another one happens, chaos, I'm running on a treadmill, never getting anywhere. Well, now I'm at this place where I'm learning these things that I'm seeing happen, which is teaching me to walk up these stairs to get to this new place. And just once that has to happen to be able to build. Because, I mean, I don't think you can just say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore, and I'm going to go get help, and I'm going to go live this amazing life now. It doesn't happen that way. One little something has to happen first that clicks a light. So that, whatever that is.
Then you got to put the effort in.
Yes, absolutely. You have to, I mean, if it just sucks and you just don't like where you're at right now, that's not enough of a catalyst to do anything from. But if you're at a point of where I was, where I am sick and tired of who I am, of who I have let myself become, I am not doing this anymore because it physically sickens me to think about it. If you're in that place, then you need to turn to something and you need to get something.
That's actually come on sometimes the best place to be.
Absolutely.
Because then you're not done being tired till you're done being sick and tired, right?
Yeah, you have to know there is nothing else. Oh. So this is a live or die moment, and some people pick that they want to die. Mm-hmm. And some people are fine with living in chaos, and not even deep down they hate it and they want to do something different.
They don't have the courage to
they
do that
live
work.
in it, yeah, because it's just too hard. Yeah.
I want you to know that the organization is extremely proud of what the man you've become. I know Jason and Doug both are very proud of you, and they love watching, not for any self-gratulatory reasons, just they just love watching what you become. And as an organization, I've enjoyed watching what you become, and I can't wait to see. I have a feeling that this story is going to be the first time you're going to be on film talking. Absolutely I think not. This is going to be an ongoing story. So thanks for your time, man. We're proud of you, man, and I can't wait to see where this is going, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Every man in here had people let them down over. Matter of fact, that's probably why they're in the situation. People have let them down over and over and over and over. So there's this major trust factor. I've still got the email from when Mark sent me the email that says, "Hey, we've got a guy named Josh Broadwater. I think you'd be great match." So yeah, it was just initially just me listening, him talking, me interjecting a little bit. It turned into some text throughout the week. You know, but it was just an hour every Sunday for a year. This is a guy that I really care about. I feel like he cares about me, trusts me, and I want to see him do well, not because it's a part of a program. Mm-hmm. Now it becomes, I want to see this guy succeed.